Well, we're back. Mr. Brett Lucier, how's it going?
Good, buddy. Long time no see.
I know. Um, our football teams are, one's going to the playoffs, the other one's not going to the playoffs.
Opposite ends of the spectrum for sure.
Absolutely. Well, this has been an honor. And one thing I admire about you is your dedication and your hard work, you know, and so much you do in the city of London, Ontario.
I appreciate that. Actually, I'm London born and raised. I mean, I learned from a very young age that how important it is to kind of give back to the community, and this community has given me so much. So, I mean, it's pretty easy to want to give back, I think.
So being the president and the owner of Provincial Glass and Mirror, right? How did you get into this line of work? How did you get your first start?
Well, I'll take you way back, actually. Go way back to high school, and I was into architecture. I decided that being a football fan and a hockey fan, that the University of Michigan is where I wanted to go. So I wrote my SATs and applied and got accepted. University of Michigan. Went to my parents with the letter, and we looked at the first year room and board. And I think at that time it was somewhere around $30,000. And my parents said, you know what, maybe we should look at something else. So we looked around, and none of the other universities had what I wanted around here. And so I took 6 months and decided to go to college. Went to Fanshawe for architectural technology. Bounced around there, got my diploma in architectural technology, and began my search for work. I worked for a sunroom company while I was in school, so I had some knowledge on glass, and bounced around from an architectural office to an engineer's office, and then ended up working at a big box store like a Home Depot in a kitchen department. So I really kind of went from one end to another, and one day we decided that I was applying for jobs, and one of the jobs that came up was for Provincial Glass, and that's a company in London that I had used for glass for some of the kitchens that I was designing. And one thing led to another, and I started as a junior estimator and working in the field. Early 2000. So roughly, over 20 years ago. And did a little bit of field work, did a little bit of office work, and quickly earned the nickname 50/50 because I broke 50% of the glass I put in. So the owner at the time had told me that maybe my brains were better than my brawn, and they moved me full-time into the office. And kind of worked my way up through the company, and went from junior estimator to senior estimator to manager to general manager to vice president to president. So it's been a journey over the last 20 years. And you know what? There's been a lot of ups and downs, but I think at the end of the day, I'm very fortunate to have the staff that I do and the reputation of the company that I do.
I love that, and we've done some work. We did some charity work back in 2020 and things like that. And it's been an honor to be a part of that. I feel like even focusing on 2020, and I don't want to say the C word or the P word and all these other restrictions that are coming into place and stuff like that, but how hard was it for business for you? And what did you guys do to kind of pivot to make what success could look like for you guys?
Yeah, we kind of, the P word, that pivot word, we used it a lot. We definitely, we used the pause, the reset, the pivot, and the repeat a lot. It seemed that every time there's an announcement, it affected us in some way. I know at the beginning, there was a lot of uncertainty. I have a staff of about 25 people. There was a lot of panic, a lot of how am I going to pay my bills? What happens if we close down? What happens if... So there was a lot of stress. And we realized that we had to kind of roll with what was coming. And I think we really did a good job because we used to be more split. We did residential and commercial. But what happened was people stopped taking vacations and they started renovating their houses. So that was one of the pivots that we did, where we put a lot of effort and work into house renovations. So we did a lot of vinyl windows, residential doors, shower enclosures, mirrored backsplashes, things that, we did before, but was never a main focus of our business. So we kind of listened to what the people wanted. And then the other thing we did is we had a lot of businesses that were closing down or wanted to protect their inventory. So they were kind of boarding up their storefronts and adding extra security products to kind of help out. And that's another thing we kind of pivoted that we did do, but we never really talked about. And so we put more emphasis on that and had a 24-hour emergency service. And, our guys kind of learned what was most important. And we, like I said, we pivoted. I know everybody kind of has used that word to death, but that's really what we had to do. We had to go where the business was. And we were fortunate that, we are essential and glass does break. I don't want to say it's recession proof, but I mean, it's a lot like a, plumber and electrician. These things break and you have to fix them. You have to do something with them. So if you're not fixing the glass, then you know what, you're securing it and you're boarding it up and you're making sure, people aren't getting into your business or your homes. And so again, that's really kind of what we had to do.
No, absolutely. And I feel like you're a big part to how the city runs, especially London. And you think about all these businesses and things like that and, vandalism and things like that. And you have, glass can break at any given time. It's like we're in our kitchens all the time.
It's crushing, actually. It's crushing, actually, to see, there's businesses that I know that have been hit a dozen times. And no business, my own business has been hit. And I mean, we've been hit a number of times. We've had vehicles, targeted. We've had, catalytic converters removed. We've had, senseless vandalism. People weren't trying to steal anything. They were just breaking stuff. And we're seeing that a lot, unfortunately, in London and around Ontario. Really, I think people I've talked to all over the place are dealing with a similar thing. And we're all dealing with, there's mental health issues out there. There's, there's homelessness issues. Everybody is worried. And there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of people that you could feel it when you go out in the streets, that there's, I'm a big person. I feel energy, and you go out and you talk to people and you see people and you just feel it, that there's, it's just different in the last couple of years. COVID has really affected a lot of people in a lot of different ways, but, it's been difficult for businesses. It's the restaurant business and the bar business. It's been, devastating to them, and they're running on rare, small margins to begin with. So it's really sad to see these, how affected these businesses are. And, being so pro kind of local, that I'm trying to, do whatever I can to help out these businesses. And, there's been some restaurants that I've literally came out and said, hey, look, I know you don't have the money right now. Let's work on it and see it together and see if we can kind of, help out. We had one restaurant downtown that got hit, and I probably had about 10 people come to me and offer to pay their bill, which blew me away. Wow. And just kind of melted my heart. And I said, that just shows that, how much people care and want to see these small businesses survive. So when we think about the city of London, Ontario, and when you see the community rallying behind each other, how does that make you feel as a business owner? It gives me hope. I mean, I think that's all what we're all looking for right now, is we need to hold on to that positive, hold on to that hope, because it just seems that every time you turn around, there's something else trying to knock you down. And it's been a struggle. I mean, like we talked about it. I mean, you listen to businesses and they're having a problem with manpower. We're now having problem with supply chain issues. We're now having problems with the increase in supplies and money, how much it costs. Nothing's going down, everything's going up. So, I mean, the cost to run a business with employees, with controlling your inventory, it's like never. It's the toughest time to own a business than ever. I mean, in the last couple of years, I know my first couple of years in business, I thought, hey, this is actually pretty easy. Good employees, business is good, no worries. But the last couple of years have been added stress. That is just every day waking up, like looking at your phone and being like, what's going to happen today? You know, am I going to lose an employee? Is there going to be a COVID infection somewhere? Is there going to be more restrictions on things? Can I not get, material to keep my guys busy? I can't get a vehicle, I want to hire more guys, but I can't get a vehicle to put them in. It's been every day. I turn around, it's tough to stay positive. And I think I'm usually a pretty positive person. But it's, even myself, I know it struggles.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the art of resilience. We all have to be resilient in everything that's going on right now. You know what I mean? And I feel like one of the biggest things that I could ask you is resilience through productivity. Like, what are two things that you really model for yourself and your business to keep your productivity intact along with your workers and things like that?
It's difficult. So, some days, I feel like an overpaid babysitter. I love my crew, but when you have a crew of, 20, 25 employees, every one of those employees has something going on at home. Everybody else has life, right? So, when you're working on your own, you don't have yourself to worry about and you motivate yourself. But when you have 20, 25 employees, it's very difficult to keep everybody happy all the time. And I think that's kind of my leadership thing, is that I've struggled with it over the last couple of years, is that I'm usually the engine that keeps things going. But when I feel deflated, who's pumping everybody up? So I've looked to my staff a lot in the last couple of years and just said, I need help. Guys, I know things are not going great. I know the world we're all uncertain, but I think my surrounding myself with good people has really helped. And I know, having a loving partner at home, that Crystal, that just pulls me through the worst times, that means a lot too. So I think that I have that kind of, that partner in crime that kind of just helps me through. And I think that's, for me, if I didn't have her, I don't know, these last couple of years, it'd be pretty rough.
I love that you say that, because I feel like that's a missed thing that happens. It doesn't matter how old you are, what relationship you're in. If you're married, common law, boyfriend, girlfriend, man and women, woman to woman, man to man, whatever your flavor is. And I feel like to have that person that you can lean on no matter what, you know what I mean? And things like that, because I'm pretty sure there's times where fulfilling orders, getting all these orders can get hectic. So how do you balance that between professional life versus business life with yourself?
Well, I'm pretty lucky, and I'll be the first to say that I have having a partner that is supportive and that has her own business and deals with her own struggles. And, being a real estate broker like she is, she works all different hours. My hours are basically Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. Hers are 7 days a week, anytime, every time. It's when somebody needs her. So having that. Now, that said, when we first started COVID and the uncertainty, and I was at home not knowing what was going on, I think that really tested our relationship, because I remember her saying, you need to go to work. And I'm like, I need to go to work, because for me, routine is really what I need, right? And I think that's what I needed to kind of, even if things were not 100%, I needed to get up, I needed to get dressed, I needed to go through my routine, I needed to go into the office. And I think that was really important to do. And I think she really helped me realize that, because that was, for me, I didn't even realize it myself, but I knew that I needed, after I started doing it, I'm like, I needed this routine. And it took the stress off our relationship, because I was out of her hair, which was good, because I'm a lot to handle. And especially when I'm, stressed, and she was a great sounding board. And it works both ways, because I know that things that she gets stressed about, she can vent to me, and it's good to have that partner that you can. And again, whether it's your wife, whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever it is, having that person, whether it's your best friend. And I'm lucky that, my wife is my best friend, and that's kind of a cliche, but it's true, because, I can bounce stuff off her and without judgment. And she calls me on my BS as well too. So, which is good.
I love that, man. I love you say all these gems, those little things, those little fruitful pieces, because it's so much missed opportunity that happens. You know what I mean? And I feel like in everything, we need to have the right accountability partners. You mentioned the soundboard. And if the people that are around you are not pushing you in the right direction, it's like, how are we going to build and grow? You know what I mean? And
100%.
like
she holds me accountable, and I'll be the first to admit we're both stubborn. We fight all the time. We argue the same. It's frustrating to argue with yourself, it feels like. But at the end of the day, we look at each other and we know how lucky we are. That, and again, we're both working. We both never stopped, through the pandemic. We both, she had a great year. She had her best year ever in real estate. I had a good year overall, but a lot more stress than I wanted. But again, we really came together these past couple years, and we realized what's important. And I think that says a lot. You need that person just to vent to, because I think right now mental health is just, it doesn't matter how strong you are, you've been affected. And being a guy, it's very difficult to reach out and say, hey, I'm stressed, I'm scared, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, and you need that. Even if it's just, with your partner or a friend, just say, hey, look, I'm scared. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to be able to deal with this. I don't know, what's going to happen, but you need to be able to talk about it. I think, and that's the stigma of guys. It's tough to be a strong, tough guy, right? Everybody wants to be that guy that, hey, I got no problems. I can handle everything. I'm amazing. But, when at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how strong you are. You got to deal with this, and it's been a struggle.
Oh, that's so true. So how would you say, as two men, we're talking right now, we're bringing that conversation to the forefront. How do you think more men can feel more comfortable talking amongst their men, their boys, the boys groups, the social groups, to really be able to hold each other accountable if we are struggling with something?
Find that person you trust. Everybody has someone, and I think that you got to find that person. It doesn't matter who it is. It could just be somebody at work. It could be somebody that you've known for years. It could be somebody you just met. But you feel that connection, and you can. Sometimes it's easier if somebody you don't know as well. You can tell them, that you've struggled with things. But I've always been a open book and kind of take me for who I am type person. So, I have no problem saying if I'm struggling with something. It doesn't make me weaker. I think that being able to do that actually makes me stronger, because I know from being able to do that a lot of people are in similar problems, and they actually really appreciate when you say, hey, you're human. Yeah. We're not invincible. We've got one life to live, and it's important that we live it the best way we can. And I think that the more that we can be open with people and honest with people, and get rid of the negativity and the BS, I think that's what's most important. So find that person that you can just talk to, and it doesn't have to be an hour-long conversation. It's just like, hey, I reach out, buddy, I'm just having a tough day, and I thought of you, and it's been great, because once you open that door, you realize how many people that are affected by it. And I've got close friends now that I may only talk to every couple of months, but I still consider them a close friend, because I know they send me a message and be like, hey, I was just thinking about you today. I hope you're having a good day. That means more to me than anything else. It's just like, wow, somebody thought about me today. They know that, I was going through something tough. They saw something on Facebook. They saw something in my eyes. They saw something that, I was doing that I didn't want to be doing, and they reached out. And so I think I encourage that to anybody. I think if you take that time to think of another person, shoot a simple message, text message, messenger, Facebook message, Instagram, whatever. Reach out and just say, hey, you know what? I was just thinking about you today. Hope you're having a good day. You have no idea how much that's going to help someone.
So true. So true. And I did that in 2020 a lot, always building connections with people. And heck, some people didn't respond back because you realize they were struggling. And then, there's some people that you reached out and then you realize they were dealing with some demons, but they're projecting a lot of different things. And then you're like, this is not for me.
Yeah, you don't want to absorb that. I mean?
You
don't want to absorb in their negativity, and that's where you got to stop that. But I think the important thing is that you let them know that they're not alone, and I think that's the important thing with men, especially, is that it's difficult because there's times that you can feel alone and that you're worried that people are thinking that that you're weak or that you just everybody wants to project that. You're successful at all times, but you realize that, especially being an entrepreneur, that there's times that you're not, and you got to stop looking around and saying that person is more successful than me or that person is better than me, because that's going to eat you alive. So I mean, you need to look at yourself and just find what makes yourself happy. And I mean, I love the reach outs. I love the buddies that I feel that do that, and those are the ones that have your back, and that in a pinch, that if you're having a really tough time, you know who you can reach out to.
And sometimes they're there. Sometimes they're at your front door, checking in.
Absolutely.
Maybe it could be going for a walk. It could be, hey, let me come scoop you. Let me come pick you up. Go for a long drive somewhere. Cup of coffee. Things like that. Yeah,
absolutely. And you need that. Everybody needs that. Doesn't matter who it is, everybody needs that. And I know growing up, I was very fortunate. My dad was my rock, and he still is my rock to a certain extent. I know that in a second I pick up that phone and he's got me. Like I went through some troubling times. I went through a divorce, having kids and things like that, and that it was a very difficult time. And for me, being able to kind of pick up the phone or go see my dad and say, hey, look, I'm human. I'm not handling this well. I'm not doing good. And, have a cry, have a hug and just, be like, it's okay. We're human. We're going to deal with this and we're going to roll with it and we're going to figure it out. And, and now I'm lucky to have, good friends in my life. I'm lucky to have an amazing wife. And I'm lucky to have my parents in my life too. So I think I always said that growing up, that if I turned out half as good as my dad, I'd be doing just okay. And I think that my father's kind of instilled a lot of community into me. And I know growing up, there was no one that didn't like my dad. It was like he was. We joked he was kind of like Ned Flanders. He was just Oakley dokley, always happy, just. He was just an amazing person. So, I mean, I always kind of modeled myself after that I thought, if I just be myself, have a good time, and help out, that I will be doing just fine. And that's kind of what I kind of modeled my life after, is that he set me on that path for success, I think.
Yeah. I've heard you speak, so the little times we did that work, and I'm like, I get a newfound respect for you, because this is a more different conversation. It's not like having all these different boxes like the Brady Bunch. You know what I mean? And then I'm listening to you talk, and I'm like, holy shit, like Brett's Brett, man. You know what I mean? Like,
I appreciate. Yeah, you know what? Like, again, having met you on that, Lenny Gives Back charity, I think that was having run different charity events and different groups and things like that. I think it's they're all similar, but they're all different. And because, I mean, you always got different people and you got different personalities, and you've got, you don't know people's, especially when you first meet them, you don't know people's strengths or weaknesses. And I think when you're trying to run a group or run a charity, it's very difficult. And it's like running a business to a certain extent. But, people are in it for different reasons, and people do things for different reasons. And I think it's, we did, what we did there back in 2020 was pretty special in, putting together something like that, and the amount of time that we did, with majority of us not knowing each other, which says a lot. And, so it was fun and it was interesting. And I try myself now. I've kind of pulled back to a certain extent to only do like to run one charity event a year. I still give, I still help, I still sit on committees, and I still do things like that. But I think for me, it takes a lot out of me. And I mean, it's been especially difficult the last couple of years because, work before kind of, that didn't run on its own, but I mean, I need to be more involved in the day to day in the last couple of years than I had in previous years. So I think it's been difficult. And, I again, I try and do, like I said, one a year. So we'll kind of see what 2022 brings. I think I'll be looking at doing the Fight to End again. I think that'll be kind of the depending what we're allowed to do. But I think that'll be
so hold on. I like to hold you accountable here. So you're stepping back into the ring again, I take it.
No, I think I did my my 1-0. I think I've got my professional Boxing Ontario record of 1-0. I think I can retire on top. I think that's but that as a co-founder of that event in 2019, we raised $90,000 for Youth Opportunities Unlimited, which in our inaugural year, that was pretty special. And we had the event that everyone talked about. And that's kind of where I want to go for 2022 is that I really want this COVID to be over. I really want to put 1,000 people in the convention center and put on one heck of an event and raise a lot of money. But there's so many factors at play, dealing with Boxing Ontario, dealing with the different gyms and training, and there's so many pieces that are involved that are out of my control. So, I wouldn't say no to boxing again, but I definitely am going to need to train some more, I think, for sure. So the COVID has not been kind.
Hey, we know some people in the city
we
that
know
are
some
trainers.
We know some good people in the city. Again, we're very lucky. We're very lucky to have the people that that helped us last time and that are interested in helping us again. So we've got a great boxing community in London, and we got a great business community in London. So I mean, it's a good mix, and I've already been approached by a bunch of people that would love to participate. What about you? Want to put your hat in the ring?
I'll find you
somebody. Come on.
You'll find me somebody?
I'll find you somebody.
Listen, this is the way I look at it. I think when it comes to physicality, the only thing I do is I train and I work out and I lift weights. I gotta protect this. I gotta protect the voice. I gotta protect my movements.
Listen, I understand. It's all pretty. It's all pretty. I get it. Mm-hmm. You gotta protect the money.
We'll talk off air. I think there's one person I would like to take on.
Nice.
Go about 3 rounds with. But we won't say the name until we end the recording.
I'd love to see, because the funny thing is, so I know we did that charity and we never met each other in person, and it's one of those things that you only see a person like this, right? And we're doing those Zoom meetings and things like that. But then when we got together kind of for the check presentation, the first time I met you, I'm like, bam, he's big. I had no idea. Because I mean, you look, we look the same size in a Zoom screen, right? Like, I mean, we look the same size. We're close to the same size in real life, which I thought was hilarious. But you never know that, right? This is the world we live in now, is that, am I wearing pants? Am I not wearing pants? Who knows, right?
Of course. Am I wearing shorts? Maybe just
Probably.
boxers.
Yeah.
No, I hear you, man. Well, before we get out of here, one of the things I really wanted to ask is, when has there been a time there was a struggle in business, not COVID conversation, and how did you bounce back for something that somebody that's listening to this can take away from it and to build even more resilience for themselves?
I dealt with a major struggle in 2016, 2017. I had just gone through a divorce. I had a business partner that we weren't seeing eye to eye, and he was significantly older. He was getting close to retirement, and like I said, we weren't seeing eye to eye. And partners are always tough, I think, in business, because you never know where you're going to go with them, and especially when you start building resentment and there's problems with that. I dealt with a huge struggle with him, and I had been through a divorce and had just met Crystal, and we decided to go away to South Africa. The first major trip. Went away for 10 days. And I got back from South Africa, and my partner at the time served me with a shotgun clause. And what a shotgun clause basically is that I buy him out, or he buys me out, and that our partnership dissolves. And I had a lot of thinking to do in a short amount of time. Over the holiday season was when this happened, and I had to really look around and decide what I wanted to do. At that time, Provincial had been my home for 16, 17 years, and I knew all the staff, I knew all the suppliers, I knew all the customers, whereas my partner had been pulled away for 5, 6 years where he didn't know any of that. And I knew that if I didn't take the company over, that I don't think it would have survived. Staff would have left, suppliers would have pulled away, other things would have happened. We were in the process of buying a new building, getting a new landlord, and building it our current location. So there was a lot happening all at once. And the one thing that I took out of it is I went home, and I sat down, and I thought about the staff, and I thought about the employees that I had, and I knew their families. I knew I knew the struggles that they were dealing with, and I knew that at the end of the day, if I didn't take over that company, that I would be letting down 20 to 25 people, and that crushed me. And that day, I said, I was going to find a way to buy out my partner and take over Provincial Glass myself. And that was, again, a very difficult thing to handle. There's times I think about it now and the struggles with the last couple of years, and I think about, did I make the right decision? And I keep coming back with the same answer. Absolutely, I did. Because, taking that leap and taking that unknown, even though I knew the staff, I knew the business, taking on sole ownership on my own was a huge step, especially for someone my age at the time. And again, it was a very difficult decision to make, but even looking back on that now, I think Crystal, my wife at the time, she wasn't my wife then, but her support really helped me through that as well too. And I think the one thing I could take out of that is taking that step back and saying, you know what, if this wasn't my business, what would I do? And again, looking at it again the other way and saying, if this is my business, what do I do? And I think I made the right decision. I don't regret a thing, and I love my life, even with the stresses. So I think at the end of the day, anybody I can tell that taking that leap is sometimes the toughest thing you'll ever do, especially after, my life at the time was just coming out of the basement, I think, because I had a couple really rough years, and being able to do that and find a way to do that showed me the support system that I had around me that I didn't even know was there. So I think reaching out and making that step is the advice that I can give anybody out there, is that if you take that step back and you take a look at it, do your pros and cons. But I mean, ultimately, I've always trusted my gut, and I made a gut decision, and I wouldn't change a thing.
And that's why you are who you are today,
Yeah.
you know? And to your wife, to you, thank you. Just being who you are, especially a pioneer, a leader in this city of London, Ontario.
I appreciate it.
And I know a lot of people that will listen to this and they'll hear this and they'll say the exact same thing.
I love that, and I love our community, and it's amazing to see that. Like I said, there's so many great people in this city, and we're very fortunate to have such caring, passionate, and really intelligent people in this community that keep this community going. And it's people like
Absolutely.
yourself that kind of sends that message, and is a big part of it as well. I think I'm fortunate that our paths crossed, and I look forward to future collaborations.
Oh, 100%, definitely. And I'll step in the ring. Depends what the clauses are. If I can pick my opponent.
I'm going to find you a short guy that can't punch you in the face. I think that's kind of.
Oh, Brad. Wait a minute. Are you calling me out? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, I don't know. Well, look, the guy that I fought, I think was 6. He had quite the height advantage and reach advantage on me. So, but
you still won anyway.
Well, that's it. It's the overhand right. That's all I trained for.
Of course.
I wasn't worried about hitting him in the face like you were. I just, I would take 2 punches to give one.
Hey, that's what Mike Tyson had to do, right?
That's it. Yeah, get inside. That's it.
Just get inside.
Yeah.
Well, Brett, it's been a pleasure, my man. And I'm looking forward to keep this relationship organic and keep on building.
For sure, buddy. Absolutely. It's always great to see you, for sure.